What's up, guys? I'm your host, Justin Morgan, and welcome to episode 16 of Success HS. Today I'm joined by my co-host, Mikey Payne.
Hey guys, it's Mikey. Hope you guys are having a good holiday season. Today we're joined by Eddie Park, who is a Stanford commit for baseball and a student at Valley Christian High.
All right, yeah, so Eddie, would you like to introduce yourself?
What's up, guys? Eddie. They pretty much introduced me, but yeah.
All right, yeah, cool. So I just wanted to kick off the episode by talking about baseball. Obviously, you're a baseball player. You've been surrounded by baseball all your life. So what's your favorite part about playing baseball?
I think my favorite part is just the bonds that I created with my teammates and stuff. I mean, there's always hitting your first home run and stuff like that. But when it all comes down to it, I think the friendships I made, I still talk to guys that I haven't played with in 3-4 years, but it's just playing with them is just something different.
Nice, so you can really continue the bonds even after you've, maybe switched teams or gone to a different place. You still know they're going to be there and they're going to be your guys no matter what. So on to our second question. You mentioned the players also, I'm sure, reaching a level of success at a pretty young age. You must have had some coaches or mentors that helped you along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Could you explain a little bit about them, maybe what someone could look for in a mentor that's trying to help them?
Well, I've had a lot of coaches growing up, but there's probably two in particular that have stuck with me ever since I was growing up. They actually both coached the high school season last year, so it was pretty cool just having two guys that I've been growing up around. And then they stuck with me because they always got into me. It's not one of those coaches who are like, oh, it's okay. They actually got in my face.
They told you the
They
truth. They weren't going to give you any special treatment.
Exactly, yeah. So I think that's really important when you're trying to find a new coach or anything like that. Just having someone that'll tell you the actual truth. So because
right,
that's how
not
you get
just
that.
say, oh, it'll be okay, because
Yeah.
you know that you need to put in the work and they're going to give you a good plan to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then, advice and constructive criticism is a great gift, and I'm sure, Eddie, as an athlete, you've taken that as a gift, and when they tell you what you're doing wrong, you don't take it as an insult, you take it as a gift, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, after committing to Stanford, beside all the accolades and besides all the fame you probably got from committing to Stanford, what a lot of people might not know is that you're just a normal high school student. And so, what are your favorite things you do in high school besides baseball?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think my favorite class would have to be calc.
Really?
Yeah, it's calc because I don't know. Because in math you always find there's always one answer. It's one simple answer, but in English or history,
You can say whatever you want,
broad,
right? You can take
yeah.
any different path.
So I don't really like that. I like having that one simple answer. So I think that's why I enjoy calc.
Yeah. And so, just for the record, what is your GP? What did you finish with this semester?
This semester I finished with a 4.5.
Awesome.
Not bad at all. All right, so we talked about your friends a little earlier. Were there any moments this year or any particular trips you took that really helped strengthen the bond?
Well, one specific trip that I'll probably remember for the rest of my life. Over I think in March or April, we took a trip down to LA to play. It's called the National Classic. It was composed of the top 16 teams, I want to say, in the nation.
And you guys are up there?
Yeah, we were there and we won it all. Actually, it was super cool.
Wow.
We played a lot of tough teams, but I think we had so much energy in the dugout. We went to the beach before, had a lot of fun, and it was just an unforgettable experience.
Nice. So that cemented your guys as one of the best high school teams in the U.S. pretty much?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so, one of the reasons why we're talking to you today is because of your commitment.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we kind of just wanted to ask you, can you walk us through the process of your commitment and the day you committed?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so my first ever college offer was the summer after my 8th grade year, and so UC Berkeley, they watched me at a couple tournaments, and then I went to one of their camps that was a week long. It was just one of those anyone can sign up camps. It wasn't anything special.
Just an open season.
And I played really well. I was 14 at that time. I was playing with the 16-year-olds there, and I was playing really well. And then so I remember the final day, the coach comes up to me and he said that if I wanted to see the campus after the camp was over. And I didn't really think much of it, and I was like, sure, why not? So he took me around campus, showed me the gym. I met the strength coach, all that, and then he took us up to the football stadium, and they had this like special elevator that you needed a little thing to
Like
get
a key
into.
card.
So we get in that. It brings us up to the top, and we walk out, and it's just this beautiful view. There's downtown Oakland. You can see the bridge. A super cool view. And then that's when he hits me with the question, "Do you want to play here?" And at first I was like, "Whoa,
I'm in eighth grade. Chill. Chill.
But so that was my first offer, and thankfully, I really at that time, my 8th grade self, I really wanted to commit there. You know, it was just
Of course,
the view.
The first interest,
yeah.
right?
But my coaches, I remember they'd always tell me, like, when I get my first offer, not to just commit on the spot, because it's more than just the baseball program. You gotta like the school. You gotta like how big it is, how far it is from home. So that was my first offer, and then I got a couple more here and there, and then my sophomore year, around November, that's when Stanford offered me, and they've been looking at me since freshman in high school. You know, they've been watching me continually, and that's when they finally offered me. I went on a visit there, same thing that happened at Berkeley, and then they offered me there, and once they offered me, I knew that like this is probably my last offer before I commit. So I narrowed it down to my top 3 schools, which were Stanford, Duke, and University of San Diego. Those were the 3 I was considering, and I talked to my parents for weeks. I want to say like 3-4 weeks. I talked to a bunch of coaches, asking them,
sure, yeah.
and I want to say it was December 28th when I finally called up the Stanford coach and told him that this is the place I want to be, and then January 2nd, I publicly announced it to the rest of the world.
Nice. So, one thing about committing and aspiring to play at a higher level, even MLB, Major League Baseball, for you, those of you who don't know, at the highest level, there's a period before called the minor league. So it's not like in football or basketball where you can just get in, LeBron James at a high school. He would be our age right now playing in the NBA. In baseball, there's much more of a grind. Could you explain to some people who maybe aren't really sure about the minor leagues? Because to be honest, everyone just thinks of, the home run derby, World Series, October, but there's a lot of struggle before that.
So, I mean, trying to play at the highest level in MLB, it's really tough, I mean, not a whole lot of people know about the minor league system if you don't know baseball that much, but even the best of the best, they still have to spend 2 to 3 years in the minor leagues, In the minor leagues, even though they're professional players, they still don't get like high quality treatment, They sometimes have to take 16 to 18 hour bus rides, they have to eat PB&Js every day. They don't get paid a lot either, so it's just an absolute grind if you want to play at the highest level.
Yeah, and so speaking of the grind, you have a great work ethic, not only in baseball but also in academics. And since you committed sophomore year, it's easy to get off track, especially junior, senior year. People going to parties, it's easy to get off track. And so, how do you stay on track? How do you remain clean throughout your high school career?
Well, the one thing that's different about Stanford is, like, even athletes, we have to make a certain GPA and certain grades to get there. So it's not like we can slack off. So that kind of motivates me to keep my grades up, because the last thing I want is not being able to go there for my grades.
Yeah.
And then my parents, ever since I was young, they've been just about grades and everything. They've always been like telling me to get good grades, because if you get good grades, that's how you're gonna get to a good school and then a good job and all that. So yeah.
Yeah, and also in the case of managing your life outside of baseball, some MLB players, they work their butts off to get the MLB and they know what's up, but they may make some poor financial decisions or lifestyle choices. This usually happens in a lot of pro sports leagues. So having that good foundation can help you, stay on the right path and not get sidetracked by all the distractions.
I mean, that's why I think college is really important. It's, getting that education so that when one day like baseball's over for you, then you'll have something to do, because a lot of people aren't successful in baseball. A lot of people, they can't make it past the minor leagues. So what are you gonna do after that? With that college education, you can do something with your life.
Yeah, and that goes for all athletes. Just having something to fall back on in college, I mean, sports aren't certain. You never know when you might have that injury, that career-ending injury, and then it's all over for you.
That's
So
true.
just have that something to fall back on, and just make sure that everything will be okay, even if your sport is taken away from you.
What advice would you give to someone who was interested on the path to being a college athlete, but they weren't really sure if they wanted to start, or they were a little hesitant?
Well, the first thing is you gotta have a passion for whatever you're doing, whether it's baseball, basketball. I mean, even trying to be an artist or a singer, you know, you gotta have a passion for it because, I mean, if you want to be a college athlete, you can't live that normal like college life, you know, going
There's
to
the
hang
grind,
out
too.
on the weekends, parties on the weekends, and all that. Because I mean, for baseball, and I'm pretty sure it's for a lot of sports too. You're practicing 6 to 7 days a week. You're playing games 6 to 7 days a week. You're up at 5:30 doing weights and conditioning. So if you're really like ready to give up the normal college life, then that's when I
It's
think
for
that you
you,
should think
yeah.
about it. And you gotta have a passion for it because there's gonna be days where you're gonna be like, wow, this sucks. You're gonna have rough days, rough patches here and there, and it'll be easy to quit. But if you have that passion, you'll be able to get over that using that as a learning opportunity.
Yeah, and so I wanted to ask you, you gave us a little glimpse about your day in baseball, going to practice, going to weights. So can you just walk us through a typical day in the life of Eddie Park?
A typical day in baseball season.
Yeah.
So let's say we have a game day and it's a Tuesday. Depending on if it's my A day or B day, I'll get up probably either 6 on an early day or 9 or 8:30 on a late day, and I'll go through school because you can't skip school on game days. You have to go to, I think it's 3 periods before you can play. And then usually if it's an away game, we'll get out of last class about a little early. We'll get changed in the clubhouse. We'll go in the cages and hit for a little bit,
Warm it up.
get ourselves ready, and then we'll get back in the clubhouse. A lot of guys just sit in there, listen to music, calming themselves down. A lot of guys stretch too, tape themselves up, all that. And then if it's an away game, we'll get on the bus, head over there, probably an hour and a half before game, and then once again get warmed up, get all into it, and then just play the game.
And then what about just a day of practice? How often do you guys practice a week?
So we'll practice 6 days a week. We'll usually practice 3 hours every day.
Wow.
Saturdays could go longer depending, but usually 3 hours every day, yeah.
And so I go to Valley Christian, and so I know that the baseball team has had a lot of success. And so do you want to just talk about the success of the Valley Christian high school baseball team?
So the year before I was a freshman, our team was struggling. I think we ended the year 16 and 15, so it wasn't that successful, but we had a lot of young guys on that team. So that when I was a freshman, we had like this team of like, and it was still young guys, you know, but they were more developed.
Like a core.
Like
core
a
group.
core, yeah. I knew a lot of them too. I've been playing with them ever since I was young. And at first we were struggling, but we picked it up probably halfway through the season, and we ended up winning our section. We ended up winning our section that year, and then this year was a whole different story, you know. We started off the year hot, and we just kept stepping on the gas
Just
pedal. You know, we ended up being ranked #1 in the nation by Max Preps, which was really cool. We played really well. We won the National Classic, it was another big thing, and then we ultimately won our section, which is what we're trying to do every year.
Good stuff. So you guys have obviously had a lot of success, but that hasn't come without some rough patches. What advice would you give to someone who's maybe stuck in a slump and they may have even had that level of success in the past, but they've come back to their old habits and they're trying to get out of it?
Mental toughness. I mean, for a lot of sports, it's mental toughness. A lot of people say,
Even in the classroom or
yeah,
like your
that's
social
true.
life.
A lot of people say the game's 90% mental, 10% physical, and that's really true because if you keep telling yourself you can't do that, you can't be better than this guy, you can't do this, like you're the only person stopping yourself from reaching your potential. So I think it's mental toughness. That's how you get out of like any slumps or.
Nice, yeah, you just gotta believe and like stay locked in.
Yeah, nice. And so we all have role models, even in sports. And so, is there a particular MLB player that you want to take after?
Well, growing up, I've always liked Robinson Cano for his swing because his swing was super smooth and all. But I don't really have a specific player I look up to. I admire Clayton Kershaw, not for what he does on the field, but off the field. I think he goes to Africa every year to do some work there. You know, build houses, help them out there. So I really admire him for that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so unfortunately that's all the time we had for the actual interview part. But we wanted to go to our segment, Mikey's 3 questions. And so Mikey, would you like to just kick that off?
All right, the first question is for the baseball nerds out there. What sort of bats do you use right now?
So right now I use a Louisville Omaha. It's called. It's a 1-piece aluminum, and I really like it. It's somewhat light, but not too light. And yeah.
Good stuff. For the second one, what is a good spot that you'd like to visit or relax when you're not playing baseball in the field, like with your family or your friends?
I mean, I honestly like staying home, you know, in my bed.
Chilling, yeah.
You know, I mean, I'll go hang out with my friends every once in a while to relax, but usually it's just at home, you know, on my computer or something.
Good stuff. And for the third one, A's or Giants, since we're in the Bay Area?
Giants all the way.
Giants?
If you're an A's fan, we got a
Better
problem.
stop listening right now.
We got a problem.
Nice. And so thanks, Eddie, for a great interview, and we're all wishing for your success in the future. And so, just a quick question before we end: what are your plans for after college?
Right now, my number one dream is trying to make it to the major leagues. So after college, we'll see where I'm at. You know, all those factors that go into it. And if not, that's fine too. With that Stanford degree, I can still do what I want to do. So yeah.
Yeah, we're all rooting for you. For
Good
sure.
looks. And so, for anyone who's enjoyed this interview so far, how can they get in touch to you in like social media, or if you got any of that?
Yeah, they can see my Instagram's _Eddie Park. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, and so you guys know you can follow me at justin.morgan11.
And for me, it's Mikey_Painbrain. And for the podcast itself, it's Success HS. We're just over 700 listeners right now, and we love all you guys that have supported us. And we're going to keep this thing going with great guests like Eddie. He's the perfect example of a good guest that we've had on the show, and we really hope you've learned a lot from him because he's dropped a lot of good knowledge.
Yeah, so just make sure for all the athletes out there and just students, just make sure you're giving back and working hard, not just on your athletics, but also academics as well. And so thank you guys for listening, and tune in for episode 17. Peace.
There we go.
Yes.
Simple as that.
Got it.
Sweet.
All right, and then
How long was that whole thing?
that was like